Heyo! Welcome to my video. This is Puddles. I'm just going to make a short video about a campaign one-shot that I'm running at the moment. Yeah, so I've got a group of players that I usually am a player character in, and our DM is just having a short break, so I thought it was a good time to try a high-level one-shot. I myself have never played in a high-level campaign, and I think most of the other players haven't either, so I thought it would be a good idea. As soon as I mentioned it, some of the players thought it would be good to try an evil campaign. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'll be streaming our third session on Sunday, but I thought it would be good to introduce the setting, the characters, and just do a quick recap on the first and second session for any people that watch the stream and the videos. So I'll just go into Roll20. So in terms of setting, I didn't really go too deep into it. We have a couple of factions in the world to think about. The player characters are a group of evil doers, high-powered, who are recently taken control of a keep and a town and an area, and have done lots of evil things to do to get the keep, and have got the attention of a powerful group of worshippers of Tyr, the god of justice, and they are basically the conflict in the campaign is this group of good, powerful paladins and clerics coming to try and bring the evil group of player characters to justice. I'll just quickly go through the characters that we have before I go much further into the setting. So the first character I'll go over is Tortle. So we have a strength based monk / barbarian. The Tortle is a good character for it because they have the 17 AC, so the low dex doesn't really affect that. And he's a super tank, just uses his claws and his punches to lay down the damage while also taking the damage. His background, he was essentially a science experiment, and the torment and torture of that has sort of made him a bit crazy, and that's why he's evil. Second is the Fallen. This is the leader of the group. She is a fallen Aasimar who used to be good, had a job to look after a certain elf called Yuri Delafan, but he got away and did evil things, and she's since done evil things and is essentially a very manipulative and power-hungry individual. He's only got 68 hit points though, so that has almost killed her a couple of times. But the armor class of 24 is pretty amazing. Then next we have Irish Kigal, Dragonborn, 10 levels in Fighter, 5 in Rogue, Battle Master, I believe. He's putting everything into his riposte, so he gets 2 sneak attacks each round, trying to lay down the damage. He's got only 8 intelligence though, so our player has decided that he doesn't actually know that he's a Dragonborn, and in fact hates all dragons and things like dragons. So he thinks he's a human, and he hates dragons. And the last character is Vanta Warlock, worshipper of the Raven Queen. Has taken the Observant Feat and other warlock things to make that passive perception 36. Yeah, she's super observant, shoots Eldritch Blasts, does all the things that good warlocks do. Also has a torture room and likes to do evil things in it. So those are the 4 characters that we started with. The first session was basically the characters in their keep, just doing their day-to-day activities, whatever that is. When I had some members of the Argent Circle demand the group come with them to pay for the crimes that they've committed. Obviously, I knew the characters weren't going to go along with that, so a fight ensued. I set up a encounter. I can quickly go to the map if we like. Might be a bit easier. So I set up a sort of a massive encounter. This giant map. You can see how big it is here. We had lots of players, lots of things going on. It was basically the entire session was this giant fight. I had guards. There were probably 50 guards for the players, and like I don't know 20 or so for the Argent Circle who were coming to attack. I had a couple of really high level paladin, a high level mage, and a high level cleric, who were the leaders of the Argent Circle. And midway through the fight, I sent in a silver dragon, who basically just decimated all of the guards. The point of the fight, I don't have much experience with high level encounters, so I didn't want to just kill the players right out of the bat after they just spent so much time creating the characters, because it can take a really long time creating a level 15 character. So I wanted the dragon to use his breath weapon on the guards first, so that when the fight started with the dragon, they wouldn't have to worry about that immediately. And I also gave them a couple of rounds fighting the high-level paladin, mage, and cleric with their backup, just so they weren't having to deal with everything all at once. And it worked out okay. The players dealt with it really well. It was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it was all in all a pretty good encounter that went for a very long time. I certainly enjoyed it as a DM. But in terms of characters that are important that were introduced in the first battle, I had a bunch of different characters. Here's the one shot. Here's all the different like players and characters that were in the fight, and some that here will be in later fights. But the main ones that are important are Ilva, the Secondborn. She was the leader of the group that was sent to find the player characters and take them to the Argent Circle. She's not the leader of the Argent Circle, but she's definitely an important figure in it, and many consider her to be the future leader. She's a youngish paladin who is very powerful. She dealt a lot of damage. She was shut down pretty well, but if she had had another round or two, she probably could have killed one of the characters. But yeah, so she's the Secondborn, which implies that there's a Firstborn, which may be something that the characters deal with in the future. So setting up something like this is something to, if the characters were to fight someone who is the Firstborn, they'll understand that the Secondborn was powerful. Perhaps the Firstborn is even more powerful. Just a little thing I did to try to tie these characters together, considering we don't have a long time to build the narrative. The second important character was Martin Faithwall. He was just a regular knight, but he has a part to play in the second session. He died almost immediately. He was pretty easy to kill. It's only a CR3 creature or something like that. And the third character from the Order was Livia of Light and Hand. She's a gnome mage who was sort of just supporting the backlines. She used invisibility a lot to stay away from the fight. But once everyone was dead, she got captured, and the player characters used torture and other means to get information from her. So yeah, she wasn't supposed to really be a narrative character at all, but because she got captured and was the one who could give the players the information, she just happened to make more of a importance than originally thought. Of the player characters, of their guards and the guys on their side, they have one Erebos, the Black Knight, who is I think I used the gladiator stats and just reskinned it to be like a Black Knight. Um, he was crucial in the fight with the dragon. He I think crit the dragon and did like 30 to 40 damage in one round. When he's just supposed to be the leader of the guards. The player characters really liked him, and he's sort of made more of an appearance in the second session. We finished it there with the characters looting the bodies. They got some items like plate mail +1, some I think a belt of giant strength, things like that. If it's a one shot, I'm just gonna throw magic items at my characters, and you know it's not really gonna break the game. But yeah, so we ended it there. The second session, I decided to make it a little bit more roleplay focused. So the first thing I did, so it would have been the day after or the night after the battle. Vanta, the warlock, was on patrol in Raven form, so I sent a couple of squires from the Order of the Argent Circle to talk with the Fallen, and it's soon they find out that they are Matthew and Martin, are their names, and they were the squires of Martin Faithwall. So they were the squires of Martin, and duty has compelled them to bring his corpse back, and that's what they're here for. They're pleading with the evil group to let them take his body away. I can't exactly remember exactly all of the events that transpired, but it worked out with them, I think, being tied up, and then promises of letting one of them go if the other one stays with the group if he gives information, but only one of them can go with the corpse, something along that line. But essentially, what happened was the eldest of the two brothers, of the two squires, he stayed with the group and swore fealty to the group, and as long as they promised to let his younger brother go with Martin's corpse. And he said that he would give the group any information they needed. So the group were cool with this. They let the youngest brother go away with the body. They found out that Martin was actually also the brother of Michael and Matthew. So they were his squires, but they were also his brothers. And the youngest brother, as he was taking the corpse away on a horse, Vanta followed him for a few miles until he was out of town, and then brutally murdered him because they're playing an evil campaign, and that's what you do in an evil campaign. So once they did that, it was basically a huge info dump. The squire told them about the order, that the group that they sent were far from the most powerful people they have. They have many different people doing different campaigns everywhere. Some fighting orcs, some are in the Nine Hells, killing Rakshasa, some are, they're all over the place. But if the group had killed Ilva the Secondborn, then they're probably going to get a little bit more focused because she was sort of the second coming. He also said that the Order of the Argent Circle are summoning something powerful from the upper planes to help them in their battle of evil. He said that in the temple there are many devoted followers who are taking part in this summoning, and it eventually gets described that the person or the entity that will be coming through is the Son of Tyr, a crazy, powerful being that, if it was to come onto this plane of existence, there's nothing that the group could do to survive its wrath. So they think probably they should stop that summoning, but they also find out that the temple cannot be entered by anyone who has an evil alignment. So if they were to walk into the temple, they would instantly die. So this goes on. This leads to Vanta communing with the Raven Queen to see what she should do and how they could hide their alignment. Which brings us to Erebos. So the Raven Queen tells Vanta that Erebos knows what information they're looking for. So they talk to him, and he had dealings with a group of hags, a coven, many years ago. They took something from him as payment of something else. So it's a little bit vague. We don't really know what their deal was, but he knows them and he knows where they are, and he's positive that they could do such a thing. So the group head on their way with the new Matthew as squire to Erebos the Black Knight, and they go to the swamp where the hags are currently living. They trek through the swamp for a while. There's some exhaustion, some flying. They slug it out until they make it to the hut where they meet the hags. And the hags are not necessarily allies, but they also understand that the Order of the Argent Circle should be stopped because they're all about justice, and all forms of evil need to be destroyed, and the hags themselves realize that they will sort of get caught in the firing line. So they're happy to help the group. While they are with the hags, they ask what they need and what they can do. So the hags say they can make a potion which can hide their intentions, hide their alignment, but they have to get some ingredients for them. And the only creature they know that is powerful enough to make a potion and good enough at hiding its own thoughts and its own intentions is a sphinx. So the hags can make this potion for them, but they have to bring the hags a brain of a sphinx. So yeah, the group is all up for it. They're ready to go out. The interaction between the hags and the group is a little tense. The group are clearly more powerful than the hags, and the hags know it. But the group also let the hags know that a little bit. They are a bit full of themselves, a bit rude in many ways. And as they're leaving, the hags just give them a little warning that they should maybe be nice to folks, especially evil folks. So from the hags' hut, they go to a temple where this sphinx is supposedly supposed to be. There's a whole bunch of different traps and illusions and puzzles and things they have to solve and figure out before they get to the sphinx. But they deal with all of it pretty well without too much issue, and face the sphinx. The encounter was pretty... I think it was pretty balanced. I thought it would be a bit more difficult than it was, but again, it's hard to figure out encounter difficulty at such a high level with very little experience. But I think the encounter went really well. There were some things that I could have done with the lair actions, but it would have just completely ruined the one shot. Things, I think, sphinxes, where are we? We can just quickly have a look. Sphinx, or I had them fight an Andro Sphinx to be more specific. So CR17. So I had all three roars go off. They worked pretty well. The the frightened condition has screwed over the players quite a lot in both of the major encounters. Um, but yeah, in terms of the fighting and the casting of spells, it wasn't that difficult. And the lair actions, one of them you can change time 10 years in the future, but nobody knows about it. I was thinking about maybe having that into it, but it would have sort of screwed up the entire storyline, so I didn't worry about that. But yeah, we ended the session with the characters killing Androsphinx, and at the start of the next session, they will harvest the brain and go back to the hags. Um, so that's where we're at. I'll be doing a DM prep for the next session as well, going over all the things that I'm planning, what I think's going to happen, how I think the player characters will deal with the challenges that I give them. And then I'll stream it. After I stream it, I will maybe do a recap of that episode to see if what my DM prep, what I thought was going to happen was what actually happened, and things like that. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hope that was all clear and you caught up on what we're doing in the evil one shot. That's me for now. See you next time.